My mom gave my sister the car my grandparents bought for me while already using my income to cover all family expenses. I only found out the truth when my grandparents saw me arrive at a family gathering in a taxi. I'm 26, the oldest grandchild, the quiet fixer in a loud family. If something wobbles, I shim it. If someone forgets a birthday, I drive across town with a cake. I run a small workshop in a rented garage where I hand paint Christmas ornaments, glass robins, tiny cabins with frosted windows, little snow globes that don't leak if you seal them right. My hands smell like lacquer most days. I like checklists, coffee that tastes like pennies, and the feeling of a straight paint line when my wrist doesn't shake. People think I'm patient. The truth is, I'm conflict allergic. I learned early that a calm voice and a credit card solve most family emergencies faster than any argument. That's our Wade. Mom likes to say he's steady. The Saturday everything snapped. I came to my grandparents' house in a taxi because my hands were full of sample boxes for the holiday market and because the BMW was not in my life anymore. I still had glitter in my hair from a batch of snowflakes that shed like nervous cats. I was halfway up the porch juggling a box with my knee when Grandpa opened the door in his sweater vest and said, warm and surprised, buddy, why did you come by taxi? What happened to the BMW we gave you for your 21st birthday? I froze. The screen door sighed on its spring. In the hallway mirror, I saw myself tired, smudged, looking like the kind of guy who would say, it's fine, it's nothing, don't worry. Before I could answer, my mother stepped out from the dining room with a bright, practiced smile that meant she'd already decided the story. That car belongs to his sister now, she said, like it was a punchline we'd all enjoy. The room changed temperature. My uncle stopped chewing. The old clock in the foyer got very loud. Grandpa went very still. He looked at Mom, at me, back at Mom like he was reading labels on cans he didn't remember buying. Belongs to who, he asked, even though he'd heard. To Bree. Mom said, you know how hard she works. Wade hardly drives. He just paints little balls. She made a soft ha-ha sound, the kind that pretends to be kind. My uncle snorted on cue. Mom, I said. My voice did a thin, embarrassing thing. Bree poked her head around the corner with a straw in her water and a ring light reflection in her eyes. It's just logistics, she chirped. I have meetings. Grandpa rubbed his jaw once the way he does when he is doing math. He patted my shoulder gentle. Come in, son, he said, and led me to the table. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He folded his napkin, and in that same polite tone he uses with contractors who overbid, started asking questions. I wish I could tell you I said something sharp. I didn't. I slid into the chair next to him and pressed my thumb into the cardboard of a sample box until I felt the edge bite skin. I took a breath and tasted metal. The first question was simple. When did the car start belonging to your sister, Grandpa asked. Dad, Mom said, warning in her voice. Let the boy speak, Grandpa said. Then he looked at me. The truth crouched in my chest. I could feel it scratching. I don't know, I said. It just happened, and that was the worst part. It had just happened so many times before. People romanticize family business. They picture cinnamon in the air, a bell over the door, cousins laughing as they tie bows. In my family, business is the word you use when you need Wade to swipe his card without asking questions. I started WadeWorks Ornaments at 19 after a seasonal job packing craft kits. First paycheck, I bought a used airbrush with a temperamental trigger and a box of misprinted glass bulbs, cheap from a closing party store. Nights I watched videos about hand lettering. The first Christmas I set up a folding table outside a grocery store and froze my face off while painting. Ava Logan, Coach Ben, names I still remember because those people stopped and smiled at a kid doing careful work. By 21, I had regulars teachers who returned every year for a class, couples who ordered a tiny version of their house with the right number of windows. The BMW was Grandpa's idea. He said, a craftsman needs reliable wheels, and marched me to a dealership where he ignored the shiny, stupid cars and picked a sensible used sedan with good brakes and a trunk big enough for market racks. He shook the sales guy's hand and said, this isn't for show. This is for work. He handed me the key with that practical pride that's warmer than any speech. Mom smiled for the photo. Later, the smile cooled, not because she disliked me having a car because she liked anything that could be leveraged, but because she wasn't driving the moment. We keep things balanced, she said. Family equity balanced in our house meant if Wade has a tool, it becomes community property. If Bree has a platform, it becomes family identity. Bree is 22, charismatic, and as mom says, front of house. Translation. She posts things. She talks into cameras like they're people, and people talk back. Once in high school, she got a free pair of leggings for a brand shout-out, and you would have thought she discovered penicillin. The creep started small. Bree needed a ride to a collab. Bree needed to borrow the BMW just for the weekend. Mom needed the business debit card for a little ad spend to help everyone. She asked for logins so I can support you with marketing. I said yes because saying no in our house felt like slamming a door in a library. Everyone hears, everyone acts offended. Then came the first loan. Mom called while I was sealing a dozen tiny reindeer. Honey, she said in her sugar voice, your father's hours got cut this month. Could you front the mortgage just until the tax return? I did it. $1,800 plus fees. The next month, just this once for utilities. Then we'll square it when Bree's brand deal hits. It never hit. But they kept reminding me we were a team. You're the entrepreneur, Mom would say. Write it off. Meanwhile, the BMW started living at Bree's. She posted mirror selfies with my baby like the car came from the content gods. When I asked to use it for a market across town, she said, "Ugh, I already have shoots. You work in a garage." She said it without malice, like weather, like announcing it might rain. When I pushed harder, Mom sighed like I was unreasonable. You hardly drive. Bree has meetings. So I took Ubers to load-ins. I hauled boxes in the trunks of drivers who looked at me like I was building a nest. I told myself not to be petty. I poured the resentment into holly leaves and clean lines. I promised myself Christmas would fix it. Sales would spike. The numbers would excuse the fog. The fog thickened. Charges hit my card I didn't make. $249 for a promoted post package. Family growth. $119 for influencer boost. $87 here. $63 there. My business card was linked to a family marketing account Bree set up. When I confronted her, she blinked. The brand has to grow. What brand, I asked. The brand is me painting until my shoulders hurt. Don't be selfish, Mom cut in from the doorway. Your sister's bringing eyes to your little shop. That's priceless. I started tracking everything. A spreadsheet at 2 a.m. Breath fogging in the cold garage because the space heater kept tripping the breaker. Line by line. Mortgage transfers, utilities just until tax time. Ad packages I never approved. Gas for a car, I didn't have insurance I didn't use. Gifted inventory for reach, refunded custom orders. Bree promised on my behalf because we need to be generous for audience trust. I added it twice because I didn't believe it the first time. The family chat is called Hearth and Home, which is funnier if you like paying. Mom announced Thanksgiving plan. Everyone contributes $300 for catering. Bree can't. She's investing in content. Wade will cover for her. He also owes us for the car insurance. I typed and erased 10 responses. Finally, I wrote, I've covered a lot. I need the BMW back. Also, please stop using my card. Mom replied instantly. Ungrateful. Your grandpa gave that car to our family. We decide what's best. Bree dropped a heart on Mom's message and a selfie captioned on the grind. Dad sent a thumbs up emoji, the universal sign for, I don't want to be here. That week, my bank pinged overdraft. My shop rent auto debit hit after another ad charge cleared. I slept on the workshop floor that night because going home felt like losing ground. I listened to the office clock tick and made promises to the ceiling. This is the last time I carry everyone. I will say something. I will. 2 days later, Grandpa's table roasted chicken, soft rolls, peas with butter that tastes like childhood. He passed the peas. So he said, like asking the weather the car. Mom jumped in. Dad, don't make this a thing. Grandpa smiled in a way that didn't move his eyes. I'm just asking for the story. Bree stirred her water with a straw. It's simple. I'm using it more. Grandpa looked at me. And you, son, do you agree it's simple? The only word that came out was small but solid. No. It didn't fix anything, but it changed me. The next morning, Mom added me to a new chat called Holiday Strategy. It had color-coded cells and percentages that looked like a ransom note. Mom family booth this year. Bree Films. Wade produces, Dad manages logistics. Profit split 60%. Bree marketing 20%, family fund house bills 20%. Wade materials. I stared until the numbers blurred. There it was, theft dressed as teamwork. My booth, my products. I'll pay for help. I'm not giving 80% away. Mom, we raised you. Bree also need the Square reader. I connected my account, so payouts hit my wallet quickly, easier for everyone. Easier for everyone except me. I didn't argue in paragraphs. I opened a new tab and started a list titled, Everything I've Paid For. It was longer than I could hold in my head. The total sat there like a dare, and that's when the ground shifted under my feet and I realized I could either be the bank or the business. I couldn't be both. I called Grandpa. I need advice, I said. My voice sounded borrowed. Come over, he said. No questions. He already had a yellow legal pad on the table when I arrived. He nudged a pen toward me. Toward mine. Tell me what you owe and what they owe you, he said. I opened my laptop and showed him the spreadsheet. Mortgage transfers, utilities just until tax time. Ad packages I never approved. Gas insurance I didn't use. Inventory gifted to influencers who never tagged us. Refunds. Bree issued without asking because we need goodwill. He listened without interrupting, just making a single tick for every $100. Methodical as a metronome. When I finished, he looked at the page and then at me. You've been subsidizing their lifestyle, he said. They're calling it love to make it go down smooth. Something in me unclenched because he named it and because he didn't use fancy words. He said theft without saying theft. He poured coffee. Okay, he said. Here's what we do. That night, I changed every password. I unlinked every device. I closed the joint account Mom had forgotten to step off. I ordered a new Square reader. I drafted a PDF titled Record of Transfers, Unauthorized Charges, and Inventory Losses. Then I sent one message in Holiday Strategy and one in Hearth and Home. Here are receipts for everything I've paid to the house since last year, plus business charges taken without consent. Total $8,742.19. I will not fund your bills this winter. I will not use Bree's marketing. I will not split profits. Return the BMW by Friday 5 p.m., or I'll report unauthorized use of a business asset. This is my boundary. Mom threats to your own mother. Shame. Bree over a car. Grow up. Dad, let's calm down. I didn't reply. I drove Grandpa's truck to the shop, worked until 3 a.m., and made 2 signs, custom name ornaments, cash card Venmo, new reader, and family discount suspended. Taping that second one hurt and healed at the same time. Friday at 5:23, the BMW wasn't in my lot. At 5:26, I clicked report vehicle misuse with my insurer and sent the PDF to the family plus my aunt, who's a paralegal, and Grandpa. Subject line record for business files. My phone lit up like a slot machine. Mom, how dare you involve outsiders? Bree, you ruined my weekend. Me return the car, or I proceed. At 7:11 p.m., headlights swung into the lot. Bree stepped out, tossed the keys like she was discarding gum, and wouldn't meet my eyes. The tank's low, she said. I needed it. There was a new scratch along the rear door. I took photos. I said nothing. She ordered an Uber and left. The lot went quiet except for the cheap banner I'd hung flapping against its grommets. I put my forehead on the cool roof of the BMW and shook. Relief, rage, grief, all braided. Then my phone buzzed. Grandpa, proud of you. Come by tomorrow. I slept 4 hours and went to the market before dawn. December markets are a battlefield of smiles. You're freezing. Your feet ache. Your brain whispers that you underpriced everything. But that first weekend after I drew the line, I felt light, like I put down a box I didn't realize I was carrying. Grandpa showed up at 9 sharp in his old wool coat. He bought 6 ornaments he didn't need. He handed me a thermos of coffee and took the spare stool behind the table, commenting on my lettering like a baseball announcer. Good curve on that, G. He didn't mention Mom. He didn't have to. By noon, I'd sold out of the dog bone ornaments. A woman asked for Milo with a tiny heart. While I wrote, my phone vibrated nonstop with Mom's alternating guilt and fury. Mom, you embarrassed us with that email. Mom, if the insurance goes up, you're paying. Mom, we're family. Family share. I muted the thread and painted Milo clean and small. At 2, Dad drifted up to the booth with his hands in his jacket like they weren't allowed out. Your mother's upset, he said to the air near my ear. I know about the money. I won't discuss it without Grandpa, I said. My voice was steady. I didn't recognize it at first. He nodded once and left like a man who'd walked into the wrong waiting room. By evening, Mom had posted on Facebook about children who forget who fed them and tagged me. An aunt called to say apologize. Another aunt texted, proud of you, quietly, always quietly. Sunday morning, Grandpa called a family coffee. Everyone came because when Grandpa asks, you come. He had 2 folders on the table, my spreadsheet, and a thin stack of documents with tabs. Mom launched fast. Dad, Wade is blowing this up. Bree needed support. He's punishing her. Grandpa held up a hand. We'll start with numbers. He tapped the folder. Wade has transferred just under $9,000 to your household this year and paid about $2,000 in business charges for the family without authorization. He also lost use of a vehicle I purchased specifically for his work. He looked at Bree. That is theft by use, even if you didn't intend harm. Bree's mouth opened and closed. Mom laughed brittle. Dad, don't use legal words. This is family. Family, Grandpa said, should be the last place you encounter theft. Silence. The refrigerator hummed. Dad studied the grout. Grandpa turned to me. What do you want, Wade? I didn't give a speech. I said 3 things. I want the charges stopped. I want repayment on a plan, and I want a boundary. My business is mine. Grandpa nodded. Good. He slid the thin stack to me, and I want you safe. Years ago, I set aside a small trust meant for family needs. After watching how needs have been defined here, I've reassigned it to you for the business. It's not a fortune. It's enough for a proper lease and a second workbench. Mom's chair scraped loud. You can't reward his tantrum, she said. Color climbed her neck. You're encouraging selfishness. Grandpa's eyes were kind and unmovable. I'm encouraging work, he said. And boundaries. Dad tried a middle path. Maybe Wade could still contribute to the house after things stabilize. No, I said, quiet, firm. I won't fund the house. If you need help, I'll bring groceries when I can. That's where it ends. Mom pointed at me, finger shaking. You owe us. We raised you. You raised me to be useful, I said. I'm choosing to be respected. Bree's voice came small. So where does that leave me? I was counting on you, no. Collabs. If you cut me out my engagement, if your brand needs your brother's money to exist, Grandpa said gently. It isn't a brand, it's dependence. Bree looked like she might cry, then got mad at herself for almost crying. Whatever she said. I'll figure it out. I hope you do, I said. And I meant it. No dramatic ending, no group hug. I took the folder and went back to the workshop. That week, I signed a short lease on a corner unit with big windows you can clean from the inside. I moved my racks at night with help from my neighbor, a night shift nurse who refuses cash and accepted a Best Neighbor 2025 ornament instead. I printed a clean window sign with store hours and custom orders, welcome. I posted one video, hands only, no face, just me, dotting snow on a tiny blue mailbox. It got 100 likes from strangers and 1 from Grandpa, who doesn't even have an account, which means my cousin showed him how, and he pressed the heart on purpose. Mom adjusted strategies. She asked if I could loan Bree some blanks so she can start her own line. I said no. She frowned like I'd broken a vase. She asked to borrow the BMW for Dad to check something under the hood. I said the car stays in my lot with a steering wheel club lock. Dramatic, she said. Okay, I said. And that was the whole conversation. A local paper ran a tiny piece on holidaymakers. They photographed my hands because my nails are permanently silver, and the reporter thought that was atmospheric. The caption read, "Small shop, steady hands." Grandpa clipped the article and stuck it on his fridge with a tomato magnet. He pointed to it every time I visited like it might change size if we believed hard enough. On Christmas Eve, I closed early and took a box of seconds to the senior center. Paint smudges and crooked hats, ones I'd never sell. The manager cried and said these are perfect to us. On the way home, I drove past my parents' house. Through the window, Bree filmed by the tree smile, wide lights perfect. For a second, I ached. Then I kept driving. I had cocoa to make and a shop to open in the morning. January was quiet. Quiet is how you hear yourself think. I used the trust to fix a leak, buy a proper spray booth, and hire a high school kid named Jess for afternoons. Jess labels straighter than I do and tells me when my display looks like a dad's shelf, which is apparently an insult and a compass. We laugh a lot. Mom still sends occasional probes. Family dinner, bring ornaments. I don't go. I reply, can't shop hours, which is true and also boundary language. Sometimes she replies with a thumbs down, sometimes nothing. Dad came in twice and bought fisherman 1,989 ornaments with cash. He stood like a man on a boat he didn't trust. Your grandpa's proud, he said. He says you did right. I wrapped the boxes and said good. Bree posted a rebrand video in February. Lifestyle thrifting tips, apartment resets. She didn't ask for blanks again. She came in once, bought a tiny camera ornament for a friend, and paid full price. We didn't hug, we didn't fight, we were just two adults at a counter. It felt like a start. Customers started telling me their own boundary stories while I lettered names. A nurse who stopped paying her brother's tickets. A son who reclaimed a pickup used as a family Uber. A grandmother who said no to being the holiday ATM. They left with ribbons and lighter shoulders, like the ornament weighed something before it weighed nothing. On a Tuesday, Grandpa sat in the back with a crossword and said, without looking up, work is long but honest. That beats applause. I kept painting and realized I was breathing easier than I had in years. Boundaries look mean to people who benefit from you having none. They call your no a betrayal. They say you've forgotten where you came from. They make being used sound like being loved. I used to fall for that. I don't anymore. Saying no didn't shrink my life. It made room. I sleep. I eat food on plates instead of over a trash can in the garage. I stop by the senior center with a small box of not perfects every month. Jess talks about math tests and playlists while she packs. I call things what they are. I say I can't do that. And I don't explain like a hostage negotiator. My relationship with Mom is accurate. She invites, I decline. When we talk, I keep it on the weather in her garden. When she tries to slide money into the sentence, I step over it. Dad hovers between us like a moth trying to pick a lamp. Bree is figuring herself out on camera. Good for her. What Grandpa did after that quiet moment at the table was more than paperwork. He did not rescue me. He stood beside me while I rescued myself. He looked at me like I was already a man doing a hard, ordinary thing. And that look made the ground under my feet feel real again. I thought love meant paying any bill with family scrawled in the memo. Now I think love looks like a chair pulled up beside you and hot coffee while you make a list of what you can and cannot give. Love doesn't spin what isn't offered. Love doesn't rename theft to make it palatable. I'm Wade. I make small breakable things that somehow last. I will help when I can, gladly, freely, with both hands. But I won't be anyone's bank. I won't be guilted into sponsoring the version of me they prefer. A silent wallet with paint under his nails. I won't let myself be used again. That's the line. It's not moving. And if someone calls that selfish, fine. I know what it costs to say yes to everything. I like what my no has bought me better. Time. Quiet, steady hands and a life that feels like it's mine.